Oh, there we go. We're
Hey,
recording. How many crime
hey.
authors does it take to set up a Zoom record? Two.
Too many, mate. So I always knew Barry. He knows all this stuff.
He
I
does. We do.
definitely
We
don't.
miss Barry JD today. Sadly, not with us. And probably just because he just doesn't care. He just doesn't care about us, does he? I mean, we're his
Why would he? Why would he?
we're his children, basically, aren't we? And all parents have get fed up of their children.
That's the most
Sometimes,
horrifying
yeah.
thought, isn't it? We are the fruit of
But
his
yes,
loins. No,
we're here.
here we are. Nice jumper.
Thank you. Yes, well, a Christmas themed book. Although actually it doesn't take much to get me in a Christmas jumper. So yes, I'm here in my Christmas jumper, and my new book is I wouldn't say it's a Christmas special, but yeah, definitely revolves around Christmas. Have you done a Christmas special?
No, I've done extra stories. So like last year, I did a little short Christmas story that was, I think,
Yeah.
for readers through my newsletter, and I think I put it as a cookie at the end of a book last year. I can't quite remember.
Nice. Yeah, I did the
And
same. I did a story called Merry Tossing Christmas, which came out at Christmas, and then I stuck it in Knucklebones, I think it was. Yeah. It's nice. I like it. I think this is you're the same as me. Actually, these little moments in between the big stories are actually a lot of fun because they're just like
yeah,
family. These guys, aren't they? We want to see how they get on all year round.
and that's why I quite like it. The whole world building thing. It's not
Mm,
something I ever experienced before, and with this, it's just gone a bit crazy. So
yeah,
you kind of, in some respects, you kind of only ever want to write one series because of that, because you want like all the little offshoots to keep growing and get
yeah.
bigger and see how they'll go. But also that would be unwieldy and impossible.
It would. Yeah, I mean, you basically not live any of your life; you just live their lives.
Yeah,
We'd have to
which
give our whole selves to them. So
your
I
office is
should.
boss.
Thank you.
Oh, good
And I've got my
mug.
mug. My mug. Just proof that Dave and I know each other so well that we're on a mug. Dave sent me this mug, didn't you, Dave? After I think one of our jaunts to London.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That was last year. That was the Kindle Awards last year.
That's right. And you also sent me a mug with yours and Barry's face on, which
Yeah.
is
So we're now missing the one with you and Barry.
and you, me and Barry. Yes, which is difficult because we don't actually see each other that often, do we?
No,
So
no.
we will have to get one. I've got one of me and Barry from about 20 years ago, but I mean, it's just atrocious. We just look
What was
so young.
What was that at?
I think I went up to the Grampians for a Grampian Book Awards,
Good grief.
and yeah, we were both fresh-faced children's authors. And when I say fresh-faced, I mean we have faces like babies' bottoms. I mean we are, and we're grinning like idiots. I mean I'll have to dig it out and put it on a mug. It needs
That
to happen.
definitely needs to be in mind. Your office is very impressive.
Thank you. Yes, I this side is, that side is just full of rubbish, but it
Is
doesn't
this the
have
one
to
in the
exist.
garden? Is this your
Yes,
new
this is my
office?
new garden office. Yeah, it's yeah, nice and toasty because I've got the heater on, and
Yeah, I was about to say you should be able to feel the heat of my envy at this point.
yes. Well, you're getting one, aren't you? Getting one this year,
I'll
next
get
year.
one at some point next year.
Yeah,
Next year it's happening. It's actually
yeah.
going to happen. But yeah.
It's brilliant because you can just come out and work, and you don't have to worry about the kids. The dog comes and sits with me sometimes, but she's quite quiet. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's lovely. I really enjoy it, and
I'm very envious.
yeah, beats trying to work in the house with the kids,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is impossible. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So we are here to because yes, quite ridiculously, given that we talk every day, we managed to schedule our books on the same day, which is, I mean, it's quite nice, really. That if we're friends, our books can be friends. It's like sending them into school
Yeah.
for the first
Yeah.
day.
All we've done is create a massive problem for the readership as to which
Yeah,
one they read first, which is
exactly.
clearly mine.
It's a nice problem to have.
Exactly. But it is daft that we are so bad at planning. But also,
Yeah,
I mean, we write so many books, so
exactly.
it's
It's
bound
impossible.
yeah. And I've got
Between the
into
three of us, it's like, I mean, it must be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It must be like nearly 12 books a year, I should think, isn't it?
yeah, it's
It's
stupid.
one a
And
month. Yeah.
I think I launched one on the same day as Barry this year as well.
Yes.
But we didn't do
Yeah.
it. We
So it's
weren't
your
really.
fault. It's your
It
fault.
was, and most things are. You can trace most things back to being my fault.
That's, yes. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for taking the blame on that one. It's not really. It's not. We're as bad as each other, but it is ridiculous. We talk every day.
Yeah.
And at some point, you'd have think we'd have just said, my book's coming out on November
Well,
the
we've tried to
30th.
do it. We've actually told each other
Yeah.
when our books are out
We
before,
set up
and we still ignore it. But we've
we
done it
set up
again.
a
So
an Excel spreadsheet at some point, didn't we? So
Yeah,
that we
and
wouldn't
ignored it as we always did. But we blatantly clarified next year's plan,
Yeah.
so we cannot mess it up.
Yeah. We shall do that.
Watch us.
No.
Watch
But
us,
why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your book? And then
right, Dark Harvest. This all begins with the discovery of an abandoned camper van on an off-road lane above Hawes in the Dales. And that's where the mystery begins. Why the camper van's there, where the owners are. And then it progresses, and fans of these owners start turning up in Hawes. And it turns out they're a young couple who have a bit of a social media following, and people have been following their journey around. And then it turns out they're also they won the lottery.
Nice.
And all this kind of stuff. So Harry then and the team have to work out who these people are, why they've disappeared, where they could be, and so on. And I don't want to say any more than that because this one.
Tell us what happens at the end. Go
on. I mean, this book kind of wrote itself. I mean, it's the quickest plan that I've ever put together. You know, when you like go, right, okay, I've got this idea, and like half an hour later, you've got a side of A4 of what the story is.
I wouldn't know. I never planned, but yeah,
I know you don't plan. But this one was just like, oh, that's what it is, which was great. So
you have said several times in the chat that you feel like this is the best one you've ever written, and so I'm very excited.
It does feel that way, but then I kind of think it should feel like that with every book that we do. That every new book is the best one. Also, it also mixes sort of a bit of my love of horror in that I can't say why, but in that sort of what happens. There's elements, more horror elements. I'm not saying that it's a horror book, but there are tropes in there that I think you would recognize being a massive horror aficionado. You'd be so it's like kind of The Hills Have Eyes feeling.
Nice.
Wrong Turn.
Love Wrong Turn. Yeah, but they're the same film, really, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean they are exactly the same film. So it's got that kind of feel to it, but also not. And it's all set in the Dales, you know. And there's also nice stuff happening, and the lives of all the others, and that kind of thing.
Brilliant.
And it's setting stuff up for future books as well, and also I'm doing a spin-off next year. But so that's that one. That's mine, Dark Harvest. That's on yours.
Mine. Well, mine's got a little bit of a horror element to it too. It basically starts off, and I won't say too much. It starts off with a young couple who go exploring an abandoned cabin in the woods, and while they're in there, they disturb something in the chimney, and something falls out of the chimney, and it turns out to be a corpse wearing a Santa Claus outfit. And so that is again where the mystery starts, and Ket and the team come in, and you've got to try and find out why a man dressed as Santa climbed into this chimney a year ago and has been stuck in there for a year, and he's quite quite a mouldering, decomposing corpse, and it ties in kind of rivalries in the town when they find the body, and sort of blood feuds and all the things I love to deal with. This kind of family of crooks who are all very cutthroat, and Ket's kind of got to navigate this, but he's also got to navigate trying to find a present for his daughter, which he's been promising to do all year. Now this story starts 3 days before Christmas, and he hasn't managed to do it. So that's the other side. Ket always has to balance the case and his children. It's all about him trying to find this gift that his daughter has asked Santa for, which proves to be just as frustrating as the case. And I think that was one of the reasons I really enjoyed writing this one is because of that personal element of him trying to be a dad amongst all this chaos. There's also a secret Santa amongst the team, which, as you can imagine, just goes horribly wrong. And just all those, but they're the good. I mean, I love writing the crimes, but they're the bits I really come back for again and again.
It's a little bit of something side,
yeah. No, I absolutely love it. So it's called Unholy Saints, and I hope everyone enjoys it. I mean, it's book 14, so I imagine you know what you're in for at this point in the series. But hopefully it'll be.
You've written 14 of them.
You're number 16, aren't you? You've overtaken me.
16, yeah. I overtook you, but just went like that. That's actually how I did it. I meant that thing.
Came up behind me and shoved me out of the way and carried on as if I didn't exist. Oh, brilliant!
It's mad. 14. Was it 14 in just over 3 years? Isn't it?
It's just over 4 years now. Believe it or not, 2019 is when Paper Girls came out. So it's been I'm slipping a bit. I need to up my game, but it's hard. It's hard when you've got kids. As you know,
I mean,
your
yeah,
family life,
I mean,
and Barry knows as well. It's finding the time to do stuff around your family is almost impossible. But yeah,
and bear in mind, if you were doing this in the traditional world, you'd be writing one book every year,
exactly,
and maybe not getting them published. So
no, exactly. And it's crazy to think, we were 16 years in the making. It would have been. We'd been doing it for 16 years. I'd have been doing it for 14 years, going by kind of traditional publishing schedules. That's crazy.
This is more fun.
It's much more fun. Yeah. But we did ask for questions from you guys, so we have got a list of questions. I don't think we managed to get all of them in. I don't know, did we? There was quite a few.
There was crossover as well. Questions, and so I just went through and sort of got rid of the crossover ones that were maybe not entirely would work with what we're doing. So, and some are like really long, so I had to cut them. But yeah,
if we miss your question, post it in a comment underneath this, and we will answer it.
We'll have another go. So we've got quite a lot to get through, but we'll be fine with this, I think. So we're going to. I'm looking forward to it. If you start with the first one, we won't bother with people's surnames because we don't want to point fingers.
Yeah,
and also we don't want to say them wrong. The first names are probably quite easy.
Actually, you might as well ask the first one because it's a question for me. So I'd feel a bit daft asking myself
a
question.
The first question is from John. Has Alex tried cheesecake and pickled onions at the same time? If not, one. Now, the reason this question is asked is because I obviously always eat cheese and cake.
Yeah.
Although tomorrow I think I might be doing pork pie and mustard when I do like the live launch.
Oh, lovely. I am. Well, to answer that particular question, no. I mean, I have probably put most foods in my mouth at some point, and most combinations of foods because I love to eat. Barely a day goes by when I'm not in the kitchen rooting through the cupboards and just putting things in my mouth. Cheese and pickle is one of my favorite combinations in the world. I have a cheese and pickle sandwich for my second breakfast most days. Sorry, I know it's shocking. Second breakfast. I'm a hobbit at heart.
Are you a hobbit?
But I do. I love cheese and pickle. And is it fruitcake? Is it like dense?
Proper dense fruitcake.
Yeah. See, that's one of the few things. I always struggle with that. So when we had Christmas cake when we were kids, I used to cut the cake, across the end so that I'd end up with a massive slab of marzipan and icing and a sliver of cake. And so fruitcake's one of those things. I do like it, but I don't love it. But I'm going to save this for when I come and visit you, and we'll have a pint and we'll have some cake and cheese and pickle, and I'll save it. It'll be a special occasion.
I like the idea that your second breakfast is cheese and pickle. So I'm guessing the first breakfast is
cheese and pickle. I just
more cheese and pickle.
No. I used to have porridge for breakfast. Or a bit of toast. I love food. As you know, I mean, food is one of my favorite things. The only thing I've not managed to eat ever is that oyster that we had at Hawksmoor that time. That I kept trying to put in my mouth, but I couldn't do it.
That was funny. Right, question 2.
Yeah. Okay, question 2. Let me just put my glasses on. So this is from Rachel.
This is for you as well.
Oh, well, it could be. So what about a spin-off of Bob and Berta babysitting for the twins, Ket's girls, and the various Dougs, while all the others are doing their putting the world to rights? That's a great question. I don't think even Bob Hoon would be able to handle Ket's girls. I think he'd really struggle. For those of you who've seen the brilliant Hoon's comic strip that Barry's just put out, which is actually Hoon babysitting the children and not Ket's children, but I think that would be an amazing. We are starting to get more. We have done some crossovers, haven't we? Grimm's been in one of Ket's, and Logan's been in one of yours, and Logan's in this one actually in a phone call. So I think at some point it would be great to get them all together and see how they would all cope with Ket's children, because they would run rings around them.
Yeah, because Harry met you a lot, didn't he? He came down. He
came down. He went to the pub. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Oh goodness. Yeah. That was fun. I remember that.
Yeah. I love that. I think it'd be amazing. I think that would be a novel in itself. Bob Hoon and Ket's girls, and I think Bob would probably. We probably would sort them out. Actually, is Hoon.
Well, this one's from Bobby. When will you guys come to Australia? Pick a city, and I'm sure there are heaps of us would travel to see you. Can you imagine that if we did an international tour?
It'd be amazing. We could actually. I mean, we could do it. We talk all the time, don't we, about doing tours and trying to meet up and doing different events. Australia would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be a laugh. We could do like 8. We could go to, if we did around the world, we could do a couple of stop offs in the US, a stop
Yep.
off in Australia, another one on the way back, and then there we go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So where would we go? My wife lived in Australia for a bit, and we always talk about going back, but it's just, again, it's like putting our 3 girls, who are Ket's girls, for those of you who don't know, Ket's girls are based on my girls, on a plane for 24 hours. I mean, the plane would fall out the sky. It would just decide, you know what, I've had enough. But have you been to Australia?
Never. I've been to New Zealand,
neither.
which was amazing, but I've never been to Oz.
Oh, okay. When did you go to New Zealand?
That was 2000.
Oh, lovely. We should do it.
Yeah,
let's go to Australia. We will do it, Bobby. Next question. Have either of you considered a career change? What else would you do? And that's from John.
This is the career change. I've done so many different things. You know, I've worked on a salmon farm in Scotland. I worked as an outdoor pursuits instructor. I'm a qualified primary school teacher. I worked for Ofsted. I worked for the Adult Learning Inspectorate. I've worked as an editor. I've worked on a call centre thing for a charity. The creative writing stuff that we've done. I managed a company over in Suffolk and a publishing firm. So I've done all these other things, but all the way through, this has been the career I wanted. And I tried, like yourself, I tried it a few years ago and it became impossible. So I took a job on, and then I've come back to this again. So it's always this that I've come back to. So this is the career change, and it's not changing again.
No,
I'm not going back. No.
Oh, that's great though. And yeah. I mean, we both started off in children's books, didn't we? Which is actually, it's a very satisfying field, but actually a very difficult field to have a continual success in. And so it's great. But I think when you're a writer and this is what you do, this is what you want to do, you will always find a way to do it because you just keep writing. You even when you're doing other jobs, you keep writing. Yeah, exactly. You can't stop. So, and I think being successful as a writer is all about stubbornness. I think that is a lot of it. It's just saying, I'm going to mindedness. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, that's brilliant. And I'm the same. I wanted to do 2 things when I was a kid. One of 2 things. One of them was being a writer. The other was being a long distance truck driver. That was my 2 career goals. Sadly, I became a writer because I was thought long distance truck driving would be really good fun. But I can't imagine doing anything else. And I haven't actually had another job. I've been a writer since I was 22, and I used to write magazines and things. It was more kind of not quite journalism, but more kind of jobbing writing. But I've never done anything else. I always think if this ended and I had to get a job, how are you supposed to get a job after 22 years of being basically unemployed
with difficulty?
Yeah. But yeah, so, I would try and get a job as a long distance truck driver if this ever ended.
Yeah. Right then, is character development or plot more important to you as you write?
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I don't plot. So, I mean, this is...
So you don't plot?
No, I'm constantly sending you and Barry texts saying, I'm at like 100,000 words and I don't know who's done it.
It's honestly terrifying.
It is. I love it, though. I always feel like if you don't know who's done the crime, you're actually in the story with the characters, so you're enjoying it, and you're looking for clues, and then at some point you'll think, hang on a minute, we haven't done this, or we haven't spoken to this guy, or this person's story is false, and then suddenly something clicks into place and you realize who's done it. But there is a huge panic all the way up to that moment where you're like, what if I can't find the killer? Which I guess happens in real life, doesn't it? I mean, that's what a real policeman. Yeah,
I think we're all slightly different because you don't plan at all. I think Barry plans quite detailed, but allows his characters to like he posted last week how his characters have completely buggered up his plan at one point. And I'm sort of a mix of both, so I plan, but I also have enough scope to allow them to do that, and then I fully expect changes to happen. So we're all slightly different. So yeah, for me, it's character and plot. I mean, you can't have a book. I mean, you do have a plot, you just don't know what it is until you get to the end of it. Yeah, and your characters drive the plot, I guess, don't they? Because they, absolutely, they are the plot. Yeah, but the character development in our books is what we were saying earlier. That's why we come back again and again and again, because the characters as they are now in book 14 and book 16, they're not the same as they were in book 1. They've grown with the series, and their children have grown, and their friends have grown, and their relationships have grown. So that is the character development, and I think that's why people keep coming back. I know that's why I keep coming back. Yeah. I think it is.
Maybe that
It's
is more
very much-
important.
Yeah, people do buy into that, don't they? It's like soap opera, really. They buy
Yeah,
into the
it is.
characters. as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Interesting question.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's a bit bigger, actually. I can read this. Can I read this? I feel like I'm getting old. This is Bessie. Are your characters based even loosely on real people you know? In particular, Harry Grimm. He seems too real in an odd sort of way to be fictional. And do you ever use any of those writing apps, software programs that supposedly help you write a novel? If so, what would you recommend? I'll let you fill this one.
Good Lord. I mean, the second part of that is about the writing apps and software. And that's just my brain.
Yeah.
And I've tried various like things like Scrivener and various other things that help you write a book. For me, it's always been work avoidance. It's just annoyed me.
Yeah.
So no, I just write on Word and I use my head and I scribble ideas. That's it. With regards to characters based loosely on, I think all characters are based on people.
Yeah.
They're also based on me. The fact that Harry Grimm seems too real is to me a massive compliment because he's not real. He's not based on anyone I know.
He does feel real, though. I mean, like, they're right.
Yeah, but that's what you want, isn't it? As a writer, you want the characters to feel. Look how big my hands suddenly look. Squish your head. Little like that. But I think that's just a huge compliment, isn't it? If the characters seem real, then I must have done something right. And I think that's the depth of character that we have in all of it. It's not just about them investigating a crime. It's about who they are, what their background is, the people they hang out with, why they do things, their thoughts and all that. So yeah, that's a rambling thing. But
I think that's the same as me. No one's actually based on a real person. Although I have weirdly had an email from someone who had exactly the same name as one of my characters and lived in exactly the same house in Norfolk somewhere, which was complete coincidence because I use random name generators normally for my names. It was a complete coincidence. It was not a nice character either. He was accused of some terrible things. So I felt awful. I emailed back and said, "Happy to change the name." And he said, "No, don't worry about it." But yeah, it was weird. But for me, it was all came from the girls. So I wanted to write a story with my daughters in. So the girls are very real in the book. Everything they do in the book is something that's happened in real life. And I think because of that, Ket, certainly the dad side of Ket is very me. So I've definitely channeled a lot of that. Like writing is therapy. When you've got 3 girls, sometimes you really want therapy, like every day. So the writing was kind of therapeutic, and the crime just came on top of that. Really, it was quite weird. But so yeah, Ket is very much. Ket's a lot cooler than I will ever be. But there's definitely an element of me in Ket. But yeah, you're right. You kind of pick bits that you see from other people, don't you? And they always end up in the book somewhere. It's a really interesting question. But yeah, it's sometimes I think one day I'll find someone I really don't like and put him in a book and kill him off. Yeah,
fair enough.
Barry. Yeah.
Right, is it me now?
Yes, I think.
Yeah. Right, Joan has asked, I've often wondered if you work backwards. Do you choose the murderer, like in Columbo? Giving my age away, or then put the story together to make it work. So do you choose the murderer and then put the story together? I don't. Well, you go. What do you think?
Well, this is kind of ties in with what I was saying earlier. Is that I often don't know who the murderer is until right at the end of the book. I feel like if I knew who the murderer was at the beginning when I started writing, then all the other characters would know who it was, and so they'd just be like, "Well, it's that guy," and I'd be like, "Well, you can't know that. Only I know that. I'm the author." And they're like, "Well, we live in your head, so we know it too." So it feels a bit like I've always written a bit like that. It just feels too easy for them if they can access everything in my head. So I'm just stay deliberately obtuse, which isn't hard actually because I'm a bit obtuse anyway. And just and they kind of and then they have to work for it. I'm not going to give them any help. So I definitely don't know the murderer until the very end.
I do find the murderer changes. I have found that the murderer has changed in quite a few books.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I mean,
you set off with a definite idea of who the killer was.
Yeah,
and that's interesting.
Yeah, so then the killer changes halfway through, and it's like, or another character comes in, and it's like, oh my, but then you kind of have to go with it. But again, that's what an investigation is like. You think you're going after someone, but then it turns out to be someone else, which I think maybe adds to a bit of realism. Like you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, moving on. Yes, Lauren asks, do you have a long-term plan on how many books you think will be in the series, or do you just plan 1 or 2 books ahead?
Me,
Yes, go for it.
I I don't have a long-term plan. I know that I'm going to do a spin-off series from one of the characters next year.
Are you allowed to tell us who, or is this a secret?
It's a secret.
Okay, no, that's cool.
But which is going to be really cool. Because I'm excited about doing a new series, and I think that'll breathe, fresh blood into or whatever.
Nice.
It'll just get a new punch. And also to bring new readers in and all that kind of thing. I think at some point a series does have to die or stop, should I say? But it's very much working out where that cutoff would be.
Yeah.
You leave the character because the characters are so real. I want to leave them in a position where, and it's ridiculous, isn't it? Talking about them like they're real.
I know exactly what you mean.
There's hope and stuff, and also to leave it so that I could then go, do you know what? I quite fancy writing another Grimm book, and just go back and write one.
Yeah,
which I think would be really good fun as well. So I had this idea, there'd be 24 books. It might not be that many. It might, who knows? I'm just letting the stories write and giving the characters a bit of control.
I'm very, very similar to you. I feel like as long as people are enjoying them, I'll want to write them, and as long as I'm enjoying them, I'll want to write them. Like you say, it can't really go on forever. But I think part of it is that we write so many books, it becomes quite intense. So, like you say, actually coming back and writing maybe one a year and doing that for as long as we can might actually be a really nice way of keeping them going.
Absolutely.
I would be heartbroken if I ended the Ket series, because I'd feel actually I know these people better than I know most real people in my life. So to say goodbye. Yeah. So at the end of
say at the same time.
Yeah, at the end of King Rat, I did think maybe the series would end there, because it kind of brought this kind of ongoing Hollenbeck thing to an end in the series. And that I won't see what happens, but the last chapter of King Rat was quite an emotional one, and I was thinking, God, like I'm not saying goodbye, and everyone kept saying, God, is that the end? Because the way you've written it, it feels like the end. And I was like, no, I'm coming back. I'm gonna do another one. It would actually be like a real grief, I think, if I said goodbye to them. Isn't that weird?
It is weird. I certainly never had. I mean, if you'd have told me when I launched Grimm Up North 3.5 years ago that I'd be now on to book 16, I mean, that's the idea that you can come up with that many books is crazy. I don't know how it's happened. So there was no
very good at it. That's how it's happened.
That's what it is, isn't it? It's massive talent on both of our
massive talent.
We're amazing. But no, like that, I just launched Grimm thinking, well, let's see what happens. And here we are.
Right. Okay, is this your turn?
Me, isn't it? Yeah. So Rachel, some questions. Right. You all have flawed but lovable male leads. Can you tell us about how you see their characters progressing through the series? And do you want them ultimately to find redemption and be happy in their own skin?
Oh, that's good. It's just what we were saying.
Yeah, or do they need to? And it kind of supports what we've just said, doesn't it? And you say anything? You got anything to say to that?
No, I feel exactly the same. I think it's lovely seeing them progress through this. I think that's the real joy of writing these books, is seeing these characters progress, and they do grow. And I couldn't do it. I mean, I know I'm a sucker for a happy ending. I love horror, so we're both horror fans. I love really dark, grisly horror films with happy endings. So I love a happy ending. So and I think this is the beauty of these books, is they almost always, they're not happy endings for everyone, but they almost always have a resolution, and a happy resolution. Go back to normal. I will never. I would say this. I could say this. I will never kill Ket off. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that to his girls. Like it just wouldn't happen. And so he will always be there. I couldn't do it. I would never forgive myself. I think. I think keeping these characters alive and keeping them going is really important. Yeah. Oh, is it my turn? Yeah, that was a good question. Yeah. And sorry, do they need to remain flawed? Yeah, it's interesting. I think all good characters have to have flaws, don't they? I think a perfect character is one that you can't really engage with, because we've all got flaws, apart from me. I mean, I don't have any flaws at all, but most people have flaws. And I think if you see a character that is perfect, I just switch off. I'm just like, this person doesn't exist. And that's what I love about all our characters, is they have got flaws. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, loads to think about here, isn't there? I think I'm thinking about my books in more depth now than I have since I started writing them. Okay, Claire. asks, and there was lots of people who asked this. Oh yeah, this is one we got asked quite a lot. Is there ever going to be a chance of Logan, Grimm, and Ket working together in a book? Oh god, that'd be brilliant. I know Grimm makes a very small appearance in Come Hell or High Water, but all three together would be amazing. So yeah, like we say, there's been a bit of crossover. I think Grimm was in Stone Cold Dead. I can't remember. And
I remember which one.
Logan appears in this new one in a very brief phone call, but he is there. And Logan, which one? Oh, it's telling us we've only got 8 minutes left.
Yeah. That's because we just keep talking and talking. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but we'll figure it out. But yes, we talk about a crossover all the time, don't we? I mean,
we do.
This is one of the things we would love to do. The trouble is, we are atrocious at organizing anything. We have been meaning to do a podcast, haven't we, for 2 years? We haven't even managed to record the first episode. I mean, it's so bad. I think it's mostly my fault. I'm going to take the blame for this one. I got so many messages from you, Dave. Going, come on, let's just record the first one. I'm like, yeah, we could, but I've got an excuse.
I've got cakes to eat.
Yeah, exactly. It always takes priority. I think we will do a crossover at some point. I don't know how we'll do it. I don't know if it'll be a chapter each. There we go. We're fixed. A chapter each, and do it that way, or whether we'll just come up with a story and kind of work on it together. It'd be really fun. I think what we should do. Oh, sorry, Dave. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it would be fun. It's just we're very good at actually getting really close to organising something.
Yeah.
Like within hours. Like even today, for example, and it was just an extenuating circumstances that did it.
Yeah.
But we are within hours of things sometimes, and then one of us has got something on or something catastrophic happen because we all lead obviously our own mad lives.
Exactly.
We do have grand plans for podcasts and films and joint books and tours. And hiring a hotel to do like our own crime fest, but
exactly, yeah. And it hasn't happened yet, but it will. It will. All these things will happen. I think I keep saying to you and Barry, we should just rent out a spa hotel for a couple of weeks. Has to be a spa hotel. I'm trying to convince Dave to go to a spa, and then we can just relax and write a crossover book in this.
It would be a laugh.
2-week spa hotel. It'd be amazing. I mean, we might not get.
I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do
it. Oh, one day.
Well,
But yes, it will happen.
Yeah, who's asking the next one? I can't remember now.
I think
it's you.
Is it me? Okay. Wendy asks, finish this. 3 crime writers were stuck on a desert island.
Yeah.
And Alex ate them both.
It's probably that. Well, yeah.
You'd be like, we've only been here half an hour. You've already eaten Barry's arm. I'm hungry. That's a great question. I think we'd be all right on a desert island for a little while, wouldn't we? I think we'd just chill and relax, be quiet, be peaceful. We'd have deadlines.
Punch some food. Be great.
Be brilliant.
Light fire. Cracking. Right, next one. Do your neighbours know what you all do? Aren't they even a little concerned by the way your minds work? But this is I'll answer because I think people will assume that because we write crime, we've got some kind of. You find this with horror as well.
Exactly.
I find people who are really into horror are generally like the most relaxed.
Yeah. Nicest happy, people you'd ever meet.
Nicest people, which is a bit odd. But just because we write weird stuff doesn't mean we are. Well, we're all weird in our own way, but we like the darkness and the light. I don't like just everything being cuddly and cozy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes a story exciting. And you're writing about murder, you have to come up with gruesome stuff. Otherwise, it's just someone fell over and it was somebody's fault and they didn't tell anyone and they did it on purpose. Well, that's who cares? It has to be a bit more umphy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
My neighbours know what I do. They're not bothered. They just think I'm weird anyway.
Yeah, my neighbours don't talk to me, but for other reasons.
Okay, fair enough.
But I think crime and horror writers are nice people because, like I said earlier, writing is therapy. You get rid of all the dark stuff on the page, so all you're left with is fluffiness and light. Maybe not in your case, Dave. You're angry all the time, but generally speaking, I feel like if I finished a book and I've got all this stuff out, I'm just like I could float away on a cloud. It's lovely. So I think there is some truth to the fact that writing is therapy.
There is. It's just not as cathartic for me, is it? I'm just constantly shouting.
Get more violence in the books.
Oh, dear me.
Okay, so Beth asks, what would you tell someone who doesn't give a damn about your books? This is Barry. I would politely tell them to give them a go, because
Exactly.
they might find that they love them. If they don't love them, they don't have to read them. I mean, I know plenty of people, judging by the number of 1-star reviews I've had, I know plenty of people who don't love my books, and that's fine. Not everyone can love everything. I mean,
No, I mean, it'd be so boring if we all liked everything, wouldn't it? I mean, if we all liked every book all the time, it would be just like, oh, what have you read? This one? Oh, I've read that too. It's brilliant. I'll read that one. I bet it's brilliant. Yeah, it's all
so
brilliant.
Boring.
Brilliant.
Yeah. We'd say that, and then we'd go and kill them afterwards. But that's what we'd say to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, there we go. That's that one solved. Right. Terry's asked, when developing a plot, where do you get your inspiration? Is it a case of someone annoys you and do you think of a dastardly way to deal with them, or is it just a fleeting thought or something else that sets off a train of thought? How do you research things like crime scene management, protocols, medicine, etc.?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is. I think ideas come from all over the shop, don't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it can come from a title. I think, for Dead Man's Hands, that the title was just like, oh, I love that as a title, and the idea came. Same with Dark Harvest. I knew it was going to be set around harvest time.
Yeah,
sort of September, October in the Dales. I liked the idea of Dark Harvest, but then I had to turn it into something that was but wasn't that. So again, I can't say too much. But then the ideas come from all over the place, from titles you come up with, from things you read in the papers, from just looking out of the window. And I have a little file on my phone that I just jot things down just as a possible thought, and then I do a little spidergram and let it grow. So there's nothing specific. I think there's no magic box with ideas.
No, it's about keeping your eyes open, isn't it? I always say this. We used to do I think you did too, when you did the workshop for children's in schools about writing. It's about finding ideas everywhere, asking what if this happened, which I go around asking all the time now. So I basically go around looking at places and thinking someone could be murdered there. I could better someone there. Someone else could better someone there. And you just see all the places and all the means by which people could meet a horrible, grisly death. And with this one, it was what if there was a Santa inside the chimney, or a man in the chimney and was wearing a Santa suit, and it just came from the thought of Christmas coming, and just the idea of Santa coming down the chimney. It was probably a conversation with the kids I was having about Santa coming down the chimney, because we don't have a chimney in our house anymore, because since we did the renovations. So it was just they were talking about Santa coming down the chimney and how to get in, how would he get in, and it just suddenly occurred to me that someone could get stuck in a chimney, and just this horrible death. But ideas are everywhere. As for research, as for kind of how to make the books real, I do the bare minimum, and it's mainly because of time. I tend to write the books, make it up, and think I'll come back and fix that, and then by the end I'm so tired, or it's so close to the deadline, I'm like, I'll just leave it. So there is no kind of procedural verisimilitude in my books at all. It's mainly just made up.
Verisimilitude. Well done.
Thank you. I'm amazed I got that out without fumbling.
Not that at all. Well done. I'm the same. So I mean, research wise, I think I do the bare minimum. So I do have a selection of crime procedure books, and I do a bit of research just to check up on things. But I try not to let procedure get in the way, because procedure's really, really boring, and investigations take months and years, whereas ours are generally done in a few days.
Yeah.
So it's more
exactly.
about
our cases tend to take between 2 and 3 days. I'm thinking. I've never had one in one day. I don't know if Barry has. But it's crazy, and no case would ever work like that in a million years, would it?
Actually, I had my In the Dark Hours. That was done in a period of 24 hours.
Oh, really? Oh.
That was fun.
Yeah,
I liked it.
That's insane. Oh, okay. Is it your turn or mine? I've completely lost track.
I've lost there.
Oh,
I think. Yeah.
To do. Oh. So Jenny asks, how did the three of you meet in the asylum?
I mean, we've met individually and separately, haven't we? So, but it's all through children's writing.
Yeah.
So we've known of each other for, 15 odd years, isn't it? I guess. I mean, if I look back to when The Dead came out, which was 2010.
Yeah. So mine first came out in 2007. My first kids' book. I started.
You've known Barry longer than I've known you two.
Yeah, I think. It was around about the same time, wasn't it? About 2010, 2011. Chainsaw Gang, yeah. Our little group of amazing children's authors, horror authors for kids. Yeah, we did a great event in Swindon, didn't we, that time? With a few
It's
other
also like
authors.
people like Tommy as well, Tommy Dumberfand, and
Yeah,
that kind
yeah. Yeah. So there was quite it was the big bunch of us for a while, wasn't there? Of children's authors, and then we just stayed in touch ever since, haven't we? Even when we weren't really writing kids' books anymore, we were kind of just staying in touch. Yeah, it just feels like I've known you forever.
So sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's it. It was children's writing and horror, and that's what we were all part of that horror for teens, weren't we?
Yeah. I feel like our relationship's definitely grown now that we're all writing crime. But yeah, and we don't see each other that often, do we? We meet up in London a few times because geographically you could almost point like the furthest points in the country, and we're almost there. So it's really hard getting us all together. I keep trying to convince you and Barry to move to Norwich. I don't know why you'd want to, but
Norwich is lovely. It's a beautiful place.
It is. It's a lovely city. But it's not quite as beautiful looking as Yorkshire or the Highlands. But yeah, so that is how we met. Those fateful years.
Right. Have you? It's actually, so have you ever visited Hawes and sat in Harry's chair? No, you haven't yet, but we have this idea, don't we? Of I suggested this, I think, a month or two ago, where you two meet me in Hawes and we do the locations.
It'd be amazing. Yeah.
You and me go to Scotland, and Barry takes us around a few locations. And likewise, me and Barry come to Norwich. I think it'd be so much fun. But again, it's another one of those.
Yeah, we should do it. It'd be such a great thing to do, and such a great thing.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah. We should do that. Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to come and see these amazing places. I have been up to Scotland a few times. I don't know if I've ever been to Yorkshire. Is Leeds in Yorkshire? Yes, I have been to Yorkshire then. But yeah, I haven't toured around Yorkshire very much. my geography is sadly lacking. But yeah, no, I would love to. I'd love to come in there because read a lot of the books. It'd be nice to see their locations. We've got. I don't think we should ask that one. Chris asks, who is the best detective, Logan, Grimm, or Ket? Well, since Barry's not here, we can say it's definitely not Logan. And maybe just Ket and Grimm are tied for first place.
Yeah. Next, Debs asks, have any of us actually have any experience with a real life murder?
Well, that's the reason Barry's not here today. Surprise! No, sadly, just trying to think if I've even been close to someone who was murdered.
Oh no, actually, no, I can say I have.
Oh crikey, have you? This just got dark.
It was while I was working at Mayhew's, while I was working at that publishing house, and there was a book that I was going to publish about. It was a Saxon translation of Bible text. I can't remember what the Bible text was. Mm-hmm. And then the writer disappeared.
Oh no!
And then we couldn't get in touch with him. And then I had a call from his father, and it turned out that he had been arrested for murder.
Oh my God!
And this dude, it was a BBC documentary, and it's also been a film. It's where it was this young lad he was in his 20s, and he killed a couple of certainly one bloke who was in his 70s, I think. Sort of befriended him and stuff, and then there were various other things. So yeah, I can't remember his name or what it was. So yeah, I was pretty much about to publish a book by a bloke who is now in prison for murder. So God. That was just like
that's really scary.
I just remember that now. It's like, it's quite, oh my goodness. And the book was really good.
Oh, that's such a shame. Oh, it's quite horrible. It's horrible when actually you realise it does happen. Yeah, it does happen, and actually it could happen around you. Good question. Ken, is it my? I feel like I'm just reading.
Yeah.
Ken asked.
I don't know. I'm just making it up. Ken's asked.
Oh yeah.
Why is it that Barry, who lives in the frozen north, is the only one of you three without a beard? Because he can't grow one.
He can't grow one. Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
We've seen him try. It's quite pathetic, really.
Forcing it out.
Yeah.
There's little weights hanging off these tufts. Go on, grow.
Yeah. So that is the reason. He would love a big bushy beard like ours,
yeah.
So Sarah asks, if the three of you were a boy band, which would you be and who would be who? I don't know any boy bands apart from the Beatles. Beatles are the Beatles a boy band? They're boys.
They're boys and they're a band. I guess a boy band is 3 or 4 or 5 blokes dancing on stage singing through microphones, which frankly I refuse to even imagine us doing.
If we were the Beatles, I would be Ringo. Let's put it that way.
We should be the Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees. I would be a Bee Gee. I don't know what their names are. Who's it? Like E17? Are they a boy band? What's One Direction? Are they a boy band?
They are, yeah. E17.
E17. That's showing my age.
How about the Monkeys?
Yeah. We're moving on.
I think we should move on from that question. We've got no idea.
Question, I would be the worst member. That's
okay. Who asked that one? You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I did answer the next one. I think on a post on Facebook.
Oh yeah, you would have done. Yeah. The next one, and we'll go on to Gainer's one.
Yeah.
Were you already all crime authors when you met, or did one lead the others astray?
Well, we said we all started off as children's authors, and then Barry was the first one to jump into crime.
He was, yeah.
The first one, I think he was also the first one to write a crime book. So Barry did it first, and yeah, he was very encouraging about Barry, and he was very lovely, and he said, "Give it a try, see what happens," and we did. And we ended up creating this.
Then you two sort of ganged up on me with John Mayhew as well and said,
"That's
do this."
right. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was good. Yeah, that was good. So okay. Yes, Barry bullied us into it. Is that the answer to that? Claire asks, how did Alex decide that Colin Clare was going to use the word toss in the wrong way all the time? I didn't decide it. He just did. He just kind of did. I think it's probably because I was getting it wrong, which was quite embarrassing. And then Claire started using it wrong, and then it became a running joke.
That's great. Again, that's the characters taking over.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's quite nice actually. It's one of the challenges of writing each new book is trying to find new creative ways of using the word toss that I haven't used before. I'm trying to think if I've used any in the new book. Well, I can't say what they are, but it's brilliant because when you load your book onto Amazon, it gives you a list of spelling mistakes or what it thinks are spelling mistakes. And in the Ket books, there's literally about 20 different versions of toss bag or tossing twat bag and all these things that Amazon's like, that definitely isn't a word. So I have to go through and tell Amazon that, yes, all these variations of toss are a word.
I'm going to skip through. We've got one from Katie. Have you ever thought of doing a comedy sketch show or maybe a podcast? Well, that goes back to what we've said. Yes, we have.
We think about it every day.
Yeah. Think about it. We do actually mention most days at least doing a podcast but definitely a podcast. And we will. I'm pretty sure up towards Christmas we should definitely do a podcast in 2024.
We did. We should make it our 2024 thing. We should do a podcast, even if it's just once a month. I don't know what we do it about though. What would we do about? I mean, just about being writers. Yeah. Yeah, doing this. This is nice. It's just chatting, really, isn't it? A podcast. Yeah. We do it. We chat. We're good at chatting. It's Dave. Why have you never said do a podcast?
That's all it is.
Bev. Hey, Bev. We know Bev. I would like to know genuinely how they find plotting and writing adult crime plotting and writing children's books. That is, of course, if they do any plotting and aren't just eating cheese. I love cheese.
I don't think it's any different.
No, it's not. I don't plot my kids' books either. When I wrote a series about a boy who gets sent to prison, and it's a prison full of monsters. It's a young adult series, and I knew he was going to go into the prison, but I had no idea how he was going to get out. And I wanted it that way because I wanted to keep him lean and hungry. I wanted him to really work on getting out. So for a while, it was like he was really in there, and everything he tried ended up not working. And I was panicking by the end of the first book because I was like, I have no idea how he's going to get out of the prison. And then because I was so desperate and panicky and scared, my brain was like working all day thinking, how are we going to get out? How are we going to get out? And then I thought of something, and I was like, that's it. So it was kind of like we thought about it together. So that for me is plotting, is being in the story. And
I think that's why you will never plot, because you love that drive, that thrill of being in the story with them.
Yeah, and I find it really difficult if I sit down Like I tried to do it. I tried to do it and think what's going to happen in all the chapters, and I couldn't do it. I literally couldn't think that far ahead because nothing was real. It was just this big swirling absence, and there was nothing there. It was really weird, isn't it?
So I based my plotting on sort of what who my brain fog. Sorry, who did? Anyway, there's this author who says that it's like you look out and you have various points that you want to get to, and it's like little bits of mountains sticking out of the fog.
Yeah.
So you know you have to get to them, but you don't know how to get to them. So you have to go into the fog and find your way to get to that point. Terry Pratchett, that was it.
Okay, yeah.
So you have like a few points, and then you kind of invent the path there in the mist, and then I'm at this point, brilliant, right? I need to go over there into the mist again. So
you can see those points rising out of the fog. I like that. That's a nice way of looking at it. And so you've got to figure out how to get there. Yeah. And like you say, sometimes those points will change when you get there.
Yeah.
They're not quite what you think they are. Interesting. I like that.
And moving on.
But do you
Joe's one, I think. I'm on book 6 of the Ket books. I would like to know if Evie gets her constant need for a poo checked out. Makes me laugh every time.
This is based on real life as well. My middle daughter will they haven't got the same names, but my middle daughter, they're very similar, will kill me for this. But yes, for a long time, everywhere we went, I need a poo, dad, I need a poo. And she often wouldn't need one, as young kids want to do. One of the funniest things that ever happened was once I took her for a poo, and her poo was bright green, and so we did get her checked out for that. I took her to the doctor, and I was like, her poo's bright green. It's literally. I took a picture. It was like a plant, and we were all panicky. We thought something was wrong, and the doctor was like, "Has she eaten a bubblegum ice lolly recently?" And we were like, "Yeah, she ate one yesterday." And she went, "That's your green poo." So that's the only thing we've got checked out was the green poo. But yeah, apparently if you eat a bubblegum ice lolly and then poo, your poo will be green. I expect you all to try this at home. So yeah, that's the only thing we've got checked out. But yeah, it is. They're all based on, like I said, everything the girls do in the books is pretty much based on reality, because they're lovely, they're hilarious, exhausting but hilarious.
Yeah, that's the point.
Okay, I think we're probably getting towards the end now, aren't we? I think we'll just scan through to see if there's anything that we haven't answered.
I think we've covered most stuff, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, let's do this one. Michelle's. If you could experience a day in the life of one of your main characters, who would that be and why? Oh, hey, Noodle.
Come and say hello.
Hello, Noodle.
A day in the life of Noodle would be amazing.
That would be amazing. What a life.
Best life. Unbelievable. It's like Queen Bee. So anyway, right. Experience a life in one of my main characters. Who'd it be and why? I think Harry's life seems quite stressful.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. Isn't it really?
It's really. Okay. We kind of live their lives anyway, don't we? I think this is.
Yeah, I think that's it, because I know all of their lives so detailedly.
Yeah. Is that what?
But because I live their lives anyway, I can't answer that, because I do experience a day in their life all the time, like constantly in my head. I'm thinking about what
their lives
doing something.
Yeah, I picked Duke. I think PC Duke, just because his head's a bit empty, so it must be quite nice and quiet in there. I feel like it would just be a nice. I think Ket would be too, and Ket's too much similar to me anyway. The girls would be, there. I think Savage is quite stressy, but she's, very much thinking about things all the time. Porter's quite simple as well, but, I think he'd be worried about his baby and stuff. I think Duke is just like a lovely empty bowl. He says in this book, no one can talk me anything. I'm like a rock. And it's so true. He is basically, so yeah, I pick Duke and have a nice day of peace and quiet.
I think we're done.
I think we're done. I think everything else is a variation of what we've answered. That was good. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much to everyone for your questions. They were brilliant questions. Brilliant. Like I say, if something hasn't been answered, feel free to add it in the comments below, and we can always answer it.
It's almost like we should do this regularly, isn't it?
It's almost like we should do a podcast. I've told you. How many times have I said it?
Relentlessly. I just keep ignoring you.
Well, a joy to see you as always. this is the moment where I realize it's not recorded, and we've just literally had a lovely chat between the two of us.
I was thinking that doing this, it's like, what's it going to turn out like?
We should have tested it, shouldn't we?
We now have to say goodbye, and you have to unstop. You have to stop the recording, and then we have to look at each other and hope that it's worked.
Well, it's been lovely to chat, even if we haven't recorded it. It's been a lovely chat. Lovely. And Barry will be rolling his eyes because he'll be like, they didn't record it. Hopeless. I bet they didn't record it.
Anyway, well, best luck with your book.
Yes, thank you, and you, and we shall see. It'd be lovely. It's like I said, it's like sending your kids together on the first day of school. They'll be friends. And I hope you guys out there enjoy both books and the next installment of Grim and Ket. And yeah, we'll do this again soon.
Possible. Bye, everyone.
See you later. Bye.